SunFoil Mk-1 photo documentary by C.J. Wharton's Aerophysics Engineering Research and Operations, Hillbilly Enterprises. Renewable energy, alternative lifestyles, world-leading systems. A small, independent research and development establishment with a fair bit of experience of wind turbines, large, like this one, middle-sized, or even small enough to fit on the wing of an ultralight and spend days charging penlight batteries. With more experience than most at design and construction and test flight of ultralight propellers, two of which were crashed test flying, now stored with the wind turbine rotor that exploded. Now, they reckon that Louis-Pasteur once famously said that chance favours only the prepared mind. And so it was with Louis-Pasteur's maxim lurking in the preparedness of my mind that I discovered large sheets of 50mm thick styrofoam at the deepwater dump, and on a different day there were some lovely lengths of sheet steel, foam, sheet steel sandwich beams. So I brought all that home and scratched my head for a while wondering what to do with it, and then I applied an angle grinder to the sandwich beam in order to cut it to fit. And this is where it had to fit, neatly between the crossbars of the roof rack on my 1800cc Subaru touring wagon. 1983 model with really horrible paintwork, but it would cost $3,500 to $5,000 to fix the paintwork, and that would not change the fuel burn one iota. More's the pity. Here we have the foam styrene applied onto the sandwich beam and the cross spar with liquid nails, which is the only adhesive I know of that doesn't melt foam styrene. The rocks, of course, hold it there until the liquid nails has dried. Following which, you take to it with a kitchen knife and cut away everything that does not look like a faceted aerofoil shaped foam block on which to build an omnidirectional solar array. I commenced skinning the bottom first, working from the trailing edge forward. There you can see the bits of road sign in the crossbar. You can also see there are swivelling down locks on each wingtip. These hold it onto the roof rack. And under the leading edge there's an air inlet which, when stationary, receives cold air from the shady patch underneath to cool the onboard regulator, and on the highway, from memory, 7.6 litres per second goes in there at 100 kilometres an hour. Each facet is constructed before being fitted, with perforations cut for the solar panels to be mounted behind. Ensure you leave enough of a recess so the solar panels don't get broken on the steel sandwich beam, and work from the back forward, where there's a wooden tunnel recessed at 45 degrees for the onboard regulator. There's a sheet of perspex goes over the top and forms the forward facet of the entire unit. The top deck is the last facet applied, and it goes on in tension with a couple of bricks underneath the lower surface and a rope in tension from wingtip to wingtip across the top, tied up underneath and twisted with sticks. The idea is to bend the wingtips down about maybe 3/4 of an inch either side, and then rivet the top panel on while it's in tension. Thus you get a pre-stressed perforated monocoque structure built over a foam block with a steel foam sandwich beam as a central keel. Seriously strong, actually. Thus, in the front view, you can just see the slight built-in anhedral. which also shows in the rear view. Take note of the hot air outlet slot. Stationary, this runs as a thermosiphon. At highway speed, the 7.5 litres per second comes out, Coanda effect glues it to the trailing facet. It therefore pulls the airflow over that big clunky 40-degree angle change from the roof, and it prevents the trailing edge facet from stalling. The wingtips equally are prevented from stalling by their swept trailing angle. Bit cunning for a first prototype. It's considered perfectly normal to test experimental wind turbines by bolting them to the front of a train or a road vehicle and taking them at a known speed in order to measure their performance. Therefore, perhaps, it was normal for me to put the Mk-1 through the bitumen wind tunnel of a cloud of mosquitoes at 100 km per hour. The impact marks of the dead mosquitoes form V-shaped patterns, which are themselves shaped by the prevailing airflow. So by bisecting the V-shaped mosquito impact marks and projecting the centre line of the bisected impact, I can then extrapolate the airflow over the angle to the following facet. And by applying red pinstripes to the resulting pencil lines, I can demonstrate a visualisation of the boundary layer airflow over and around the first prototype SunFoil. The goal was to be drag neutral at a 90 km per hour cruise. Not only did I achieve that, but at 100 km per hour it actually cut the aerodynamic fuel burn by 1% compared to the unmodified vehicle. The only real problem was that to oncoming traffic it appeared as if Darth Vader was flying something out of Star Wars, maybe 300 metres behind and 50 metres above my vehicle, getting ready to let loose with his laser cannon. However, from the 5th of December 2008 until the 20th of August 2010, this thing was on the roof of my car and it was saving 1.2 to 1.5 litres of fuel per week. It was replaced by the Phase 3 Magnum SunFoil. Now retired, it charges drill batteries for a nickel-cadmium drill, or it can use its onboard regulator and tentacles can be dangled and it can charge an automotive battery too. As Otto-Lillienthal once upon a time said, to design a flying machine is nothing, to build a flying machine is nothing very much, to test a flying machine in the air, that is everything. I wonder what Otto-Lillienthal would think of my ventilated, faceted aerofoils flying in ground effect above the roof of my car. I like to think that he'd approve. Ciao.